Today on Ship Chasing, we got myself, we got Pat Carrain, we got Davis Maddock, and we are going to dig deeper into this rookie class as it pertains to dynasty drafts. We're going to tier these out, really try to figure out where these tier breaks are. We were kind of sniffing around them when we did our mock draft a few weeks back, and today we are going to get really into the weeds with it. This is Ship Chasing with Davis and Pat. Let's do it here. Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Handjob.
Fix your sight. Jamar. Alpha play chase. Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally this boys. You're right.
All right. We had initially booked Danny Kelly. We were excited to talk with him about his favorite prospects, does a ton of great work over at the Ringer. Unfortunately, had an emergency that popped up. So maybe we will be able to get a rain check with him, but we will press onward. Like I said, we're going to talk some Dynasty today. Pat, Davis, how are we doing?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. I have a rookie draft that starts, theoretically, it was supposed to start yesterday, but the commissioner forgot to press the button, and I had to remind him, so it's going to start tomorrow, I think. But a pre-draft NFL rookie draft where I have 4 first-round picks. So this is actually, I think, going to be pretty instructive, hopefully.
Is it Superflex and tight end premium?
It is the Soccer Dave format, although it's managed. It's not best ball, and managed versus best ball actually changes roster construction.
It does.
In Dynasty to like an almost unbelievable degree. Like some guys, you're like, oh, I trade a second for him in best ball, and then a manager like that guy's garbage. No interest.
Because you need more ceiling. You're like, I need this dude to be like a locked.
You just need to know who to start every. Like it's like I just want to click the button on this guy versus like, oh yeah, I'll have Keenan Allen hang around at the yeah, sure, why not?
Right.
Yeah.
And guys, also the floor falls out. Like once a dude's no longer, reliable, you're like he's useless. There's no point. Hollywood Brown, for example, not moving the needle for anyone in.
Wait, did you call Hollywood Brown one of the best picks on the board on ADP chasing this week? Did I hear that?
For best ball, he's fine, but for managed leagues, my God, in Dynasty, come on.
Yeah, my Dynasty brain is so rusty. I have a guy who's trying to send me George Pickens right now in a league, and I'm like, what is George Pickens' value in Dynasty right now? Like, what would be a reasonable thing to pay to get George Pickens? Like a good deal for me.
I mean, if you could get him for like a third, I'd be super psyched.
Yeah, if you could get him, but you wouldn't want to trade him away for a third, I don't think.
How about this? I have like a bunch of the formerly great tight ends. I have like Travis Kelce. I have Mark Andrews. I'm not including Dalton Schultz with that crew, but I have Dalton Schultz. Like, is there anything a 1-for-1 along those?
Is it tight end premium?
Tight end premium?
No, this is standard.
Oh.
Cut them. I don't
know. They just have 0 tight ends.
I think if I was competing and I like really needed Kelce, there's like to hold down a spot or something, then maybe not. But I'd rather have Pickens than those guys in non-tight end premium.
See, that was my thought. I was like, I'm the idiot that I've had Kelce like his entire career, won multiple championships, and then being a lazy dynasty manager, didn't offload him at a peak time, and so now I just have to ride it to 0 or dump him for George Pickens, apparently.
Yeah. I think that would be fine. I would honestly, I'd go the other way. I'd be actively trying to buy Kelce in all formats right now because you could get him. You could or Mark Andrews or George Kittle. Any of these guys who are 30 plus with like elite level production, because we are at peak like Tyler Warren's gonna take over the NFL season, and like Mark Andrews is just gonna like easily outscore Tyler Warren this year.
This is like, I don't know if it's quite peak, but we're nearing the peak because people always talk about like the peak value of rookie drafts and stuff. But this is sexy roster season. You want
For sure.
you want to be able to show off what, like, you don't have a single veteran, no one's over 30 on the whole team. You don't know who you're possibly going to start at running back 2, but that doesn't matter because some random rookie is going to be an absolute crusher out of the gate. In August, you're going to look at the same roster and panic and actually start trading for draft picks because you realize you're not going to score any points this year. But this is the year where people actively want almost like a rebuilding looking roster.
Dude, speaking of like sexy, this isn't Dynasty, but we've been talking about this on a few shows. But again, I did another draft today where I got Dallas Goedert, I think at pick 180. Like,
crazy.
People like it.
Wow.
I truly think it's like the sexy screenshot thing. Like, no one wants to stare at a team that has Dallas Goedert on it. But I'm like, what is going on? Every time I go to double check that like something catastrophic didn't happen, but man, people do not want that guy.
No, they don't. And Dallas Goedert will probably just finish like tight end 9 in points per game.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes. I wonder, like, if they came out, like, I'm always fascinated by like the psychology of what's going into that. But is it, if the Eagles came out and now said, we're not trading Dallas Goedert, or like we worked out an agreement, whatever it is, that's like Dallas Goedert's on our team this year, does he immediately like snap back to his ADP? Like, it's just the unknown that people hate about it?
I don't know, because there is upside if he gets traded. You know, I think it's more tilted to the downside because if Dallas Goedert's like traded to somewhere where he's not the clear-cut pass-catching tight end, you know, like one thing I've floated is like, what if the Eagles traded him for Michael Mayer, and just like reset, you know, at tight end, get a cheap.
Would the Raiders?
cheap
I mean,
guy.
do the Raiders have any interest in that though?
The Raiders have floated trading Mayer,
No, trading Mayer, but what do you want Dallas Goedert for?
blocking and
Costs like
traditional
15
tight end stuff.
He costs like $15 million.
They're like in love with the idea of being competitive tomorrow. You know?
I guess you're right. I don't know. That I'm gonna put that. I think that's fan fiction. I don't think you're getting.
It's literal fan fiction. I
Yeah,
made it up.
player. When is the last player for player skill position trade? In
Why
the
don't we
NFL?
have it? We should have more of it. We deserve
It's because of how stupid the NFL cap is. That is the only reason. I've talked about this with Rotopat recently about how dumb the NFL salary cap rules function for trade specifically, where the team that trades the player away ends up having to eat a bunch of dead cap. It shouldn't be that way. It should just be the contract, just like the NBA. The contract just gets traded. If you can afford it,
the contract gets traded.
You can do it. I don't know why it doesn't function that way.
Here's the deal. NFL, if you want to add an 18th game, which they do and are going to do, and it's going to ruin our lives, then you have to figure out a way to make player-for-player trades possible. That's the deal that I propose to you, NFL. Please accept.
Also, I was laughing, and someone I think pointed this in the comments. Jacob on Monday making the case for just not thinking Tyreek Hill is going to be a Dolphin, and then another domestic violence
that was
issue
prescient.
popping up like 2 days later. I'm like, what is in the water over there in the Azores? Because Jacob was
Seriously?
getting the news early.
I hate to be this guy, but the police did literally already say like closed case, moved on, nothing to see here. Now, does Tyreek have 7 long months left to go for another incident to pop up?
It's April, buddy.
Is he 30? Is he 31 years old? Is he maybe on the Antonio Brown track? Absolutely. But if you're like, oh man, can't draft Tyreek because of this.
Well, also every time he has an incident with the police, his wrist is broken for the next year. So are we gonna have when Tyreek Hill has some horrible season, he's been like, well, actually, he sprained his ankle when the police came over. Yeah.
You're making some good points. You're making some good points. It's true.
It's no good.
All right. So as we scramble here to set up this show, I did find a preloaded tiers with the NFL rookies in them. So I didn't have to manually upload these. However, it should not shock you to know that I only know about what like 4 of these guys look like. I know that this is Ashton Jeanty. I know that this is Cam Skattebo. So as we create these tiers for Dynasty, we're all going to collectively have to work hard to make sure I know which guy is which. Okay.
I know that like the guys who are in their jerseys, that's easy, but a lot of these guys in their suit coats, I am not going to recognize.
This is your guy,
Yeah.
Jaxson Dart, right? Tier 1?
Yeah, that's Jaxson Dart.
Yeah.
KU jerseys, Devin Neal. K-State jersey is Giddens.
God, can you zoom in a little bit? There's tech down there.
I'll zoom in.
Is that
And
Justin
maybe the
Fields
chat
at the
can
bottom?
help us.
That's Jaden Higgins. Judkins is the 2 colored hair. That's
Okay.
Travis
Yeah.
Hunter.
Oh, this is easier now. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to need you. Here's Shedeur Sanders. Okay. So maybe collectively we got this. If not, I need the chat to be like playing Battleship. And I
Right.
need you to
I
be
see
like
Tootin.
A4, C2.
I see Restrepo.
I see Restrepo's pretty unmistakable.
Yeah.
Is he like
Yeah.
all the way down here because he wasn't fast enough? To
He's
get
down
the
all the
full
way
head?
down.
Golden
Yeah, keep scrolling.
Golden is the UT polo.
Which one? There's
Savion-
2 UT polos. There's 4 UT polos.
Far left.
That's Gunnar
of the
Helm.
screen.
I know a Gunnar Helm when I see him.
Savion Williams is the big, tall dreadlocks in the purple polo, the TCU polo.
Okay.
This is going to be
Alright.
tough. This is going to be tough.
It's gonna be
We're-
tough, but I think oddly people will enjoy us struggling to figure out.
Might
which one of
not
these
be
guys-
great for the audio listeners.
You know what?
But
That's true. But we will be sure. I think what we're going to try to do is put these in tiers. And this is
Yeah.
what we were kind of discussing as we were doing that rookie draft the other day, where we felt the tier breaks. Like I remember even after I took Tyler Warren, like Davis took Travis Hunter, like I felt that tier break. And then there was a couple others. So we're going to do this for Dynasty, Super Flex, Tight End Premium. So exact same format that we did with the mock draft. Jeanty's the layup in tier 1. The question
If you
is
can find
anyone
him.
else? I know which one Jeanty is. The question is anyone else deserving to be up here with him?
no, he's in
No.
a tier of his own.
What do you guys think? Because so here's another example from a league I'm in that is super flex, just not tight end premium. I have the 102. I am
Traded
really,
away. Traded. I
all
have
of
the
your
102
advice is get rid of every single player on my team. I want Jeanty. I'm good at quarterback. So I'm terrified of Jeanty going and then me like staring at like Cam Ward or whatever. What would be a fair trade for me to get from the 102 to the 101? Like what is that gap? Because I think that illustrates him in this tier.
I offered Theo Greminger, now of Fantasy Points. I offered him the 1-5, the 1-6, the 110, and the 111 for the 101 in this rookie draft, and he snap declined. Like the email must have got to his phone, and he just
You're like, did
snap
this not
declined.
send? What happened?
And frankly, he was right to do it. That's hilariously light.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
That's one of those things you would have had a better chance of getting it accepted by just doing the 105 and the 106, but by adding the 2 extra picks, you're just saying like, I know this isn't worth it.
I know it. You're so right. I think the only way to get the 101 is to psyop the person who has the 101 and saying, dude, you have the 101, your team stinks. By the time Jeanty is ready to lead you to a victory, like he's going to be 28 years old.
I think it's you got to take like a star, you got to be like, I'm looking to move Puka, I'm looking to move a quarterback. You said you're good at quarterback. Like, you're trying to move. Now, I think you're probably adding. Like, if you take like a Kyler, you're adding to Kyler to get to Jeanty, I think. At least that's what I would. If I had the 101, I'd be like, Kyler and what?
And I have Kyler, and I'm just like, I'm not giving up Kyler and that to move up to get Jeanty. Fuck. But I am naming this tier the snap decline tier because it sounds like that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with here. All right, so 102 coming off. This was kind of a topic of debate in our mock draft as far as I think Ray double tapped Omarion Hampton with Jeanty. But there was a discussion about Cam Ward. Are both Hampton and Ward at least in a similar tier for you guys in tier 2?
I still have Tet in that tier as well.
Yeah, I have Tet, and I think Hampton, for dynasty value purposes, is in this tier.
Yeah, no, I think Hampton's the 2.
You think
So,
Hampton
Yes.
over Ward?
yeah.
Oh, I disagree.
I think Hampton's most likely going to end up on the Broncos, and we're
But
going to be
if-
taking him
But
extremely
just-
high.
I mean, Corinne, you know how that goes, bro. Hampton comes out and has a Josh Jacobs rookie year, and Cam Ward averages like 17.5 points per game, and Ward is all of a sudden the 19th pick in startups or whatever.
Yeah, sure. That's a fairly safe way to go. But Ward's a pretty boom bust prospect as far as number 1 picks go. There's ceiling from an NFL perspective for sure. There's not as much ceiling from a fantasy perspective. He has a ceiling, but it's not like he's a true dual threat. He's not a Jaden Daniels type, like, okay, we're talking about him at the 101 in startups the following year. He's not that type of guy. And, I think Hampton, before the draft, Ward over Hampton, I think, is easier for me to get on board with. After the draft, if Hampton, let's say, goes to the Broncos, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure you're going to want Hampton this year and next year. And people are going to be like, if any, like at running back, like we just see guys fall away from relevance quickly, Like there's going to be like 5 running backs that we think are great to have on your team now that actually are not great to have on your team in 2026. But I think Hampton, given that he's going to be entering year 2, again, I'm assuming he's on the Broncos.
I have Hampton fatigue. I'm just like, I'm sick of it. Just
Okay.
enough. Like he's just so fine. You know what I mean? I've got no issues with Omarion Hampton.
He's an elite athlete with size who can catch the ball and kind of do everything. So
he's the Charizard of James Connors, Corinne. What is that worth to you?
Just stop it.
it's
I
worth
mean,
the 102 in this year's draft class. That's what I'm saying.
I also want to say behind the scenes over here, guys, the ingenuity. I have another browser set up with these same things. I'm in Google Chrome, inspect element. The file names are there. I'm searching it to find these guys and confirm. So that is my lifeline right now as I get Cam Ward, Omarion Hampton, and Tet up here in
and
tier 2.
I would put Hunter in this group now too.
I mean, you're not going to have to twist my arm.
It's looking like he's a receiver.
Well, so then we should have a larger conversation on if that is just the designation we're making, that Hunter is a wide receiver. He might be in the snap decline tier for me. He is a better wide receiver prospect than Tet to me.
I agree with you, but I have to eat
uncertainty
risk
means you're not snap declining. You're thinking about it.
You're thinking about it. I don't think he's in the same tier with Jeanty, but you could argue he's in his own. Like if he was definitely going to play wide receiver full time and not play any cornerback, I would have him in his own tier in tier 2. But we don't know that, and so I think he belongs in tier 2 with these guys. He's arguably the 102, but I think he's in the same tier as these guys.
It does, just from conversation, obviously it seems like the best ball community, and as evidenced by his ADP, are quickly coming around on him being an awesome selection, even at elevated prices. From the conversations I hear in dynasty circles, there still is that lingering doubt. I don't see a lot of people putting him in their top 5 overall dynasty picks right now for this class.
No, but they will though. They
will.
when he goes to the podium.
He's 5 for us at Leg Up now.
And the Roger Goodell says the University of Colorado wide receiver Travis Hunter. It's over.
Yeah.
So I guess circling back on the Hampton thing, I mean, isn't part of the reason everyone's so high on him is almost kind of what Davis is describing as like, he's just good. It checks like all the boxes. He doesn't he's big, he's fast, can catch some passes. Draft capital is going to be good. Like not one thing is like wow worthy. It's just the whole package is like, this is a bell cow back. There's not a lot of bell cow back profiles in the league anymore. Like this is something to get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were to give him credit for one kind of superpower, it is that he was a bell cow back in college in a way that some other prospects that, have some really good peripherals, better peripherals in some aspects, like a Javonte Williams, those guys were not bell cows. So, that if you're versatile, big, very athletic, and can handle a ton of touches, that combination is like more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. Is there anyone else? So right now we have Jeanty in his own tier, and then we're building out this tier 2, Cam Ward, Omarion Hampton, Tet, Travis Hunter. Does the tier end here, or is there another name that could be included here?
Henderson.
I think the tier ends here because the way I would think about it is would I think you're insane to take one of these guys at 102? And I think it would be kind of nuts. If someone went into a draft right now and took Henderson at 102, I'd be like, whoa, where I wouldn't feel that way about any of these 4 guys. I know Tet isn't a popular guy to take at 102 these days, but I still think it's very defensible. So it would be more. All
of these guys are locked in round 1 draft capital. Like when you start talking about Henderson, even like, obviously it's different for running back, but there's no guarantees really past these guys as far as round 1 for skill position. I mean, the tight ends, but yeah, you get my point.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So yeah. So Davis, it sounds like you would include Henderson if you were doing this on your own, but you're, yeah.
I would.
But do you disagree with my take there that would you consider Henderson 102? Would you consider all these guys 102, including Henderson, I guess?
Yes. Yeah. Kind of depending on like, oh, the Chargers took Henderson. I'm like, I like that better than the Broncos, honestly. Like,
Okay.
Sean Payton is fucking begging to give Audric Estime goal line work over the running back that he trades up for in the NFL draft. Dude, he's just begging to do it.
But like to do the thought experiment of like what I like this framework for this tier 102 potential. Like, what would it take for Henderson? Henderson would probably have to go top 15 and for it to be a clean landing spot for him to be 102.
I think Davis makes a good point. I mean, if he were to go like even late first round in a good landing spot and you're like, I'm taking Henderson 102 now, I'd be like, okay. Maybe he belongs in this tier.
Where did Gibbs go that year? Because that is like the comp of like the explosive pass catching back who goes way higher than anyone thinks. But people were not necessarily thrilled about the landing spot at the time.
Yeah, and although he did end up at the 3-4 turn of best ball draft, so we got on board. Maybe by rookie, it's like we didn't have the time to fully readjust our priors by rookie draft season. I don't know.
I've actually been meaning to do this on a show. The conversation around that tech clip that went around is so dumb. That clip was from, I believe someone said it was 2022. It was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago. And listening to just throw it out. I mean,
throw it out.
For Christ's sake. Yeah.
I mean, throw it out if you care about predicting the future. If you want to just slam on Tet, it's fine. But yeah, no, I listened to like Connor Rogers and Trevor Sigma, like way more plugged into these guys, like over the course of their entire careers, where that was their exact take. Like, what are we doing? This is the dumbest thing.
Yeah, so. He was like literally a young kid. Like it's like there's no way that represents his framework of what he feels about football right now.
Here's a dirty little secret about all your favorite NFL wide receivers. They all wanted to be NBA players, and they don't really like to be tackled that much. They just want to go make a bunch of money, so they play football.
Should we not draft Puka Nacua this year because he's going on podcasts saying he wants to retire at age 30 and would rather be playing basketball for some small European club team? Like, none of these guys want to be playing football. It's a brutal sport.
Well, there are some character red flags at wide receiver in this class, but it's not Tet. That's the other funny thing.
Yeah,
is that, like, it's Bond and Burden a little bit. Those are the wide receivers that we've heard teams have actually some questions about in terms of like work ethic and buying into the program and everything. We haven't heard that about Tet. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to close out tier 2, but we'll let Davis then. We're definitely opening up tier 3 with Henderson.
I'm okay if you guys want to put Henderson in.
I don't necessarily hate it. I still can't see him leapfrogging any of these guys for 102, I guess is where I'm struggling with that. But that's not to say he's not a tier 2 guy. Just with the framework of who could be 102, which I kind of liked for this. That's the harder part.
Yep. Okay.
Davis, which one of these is Henderson? My inspect trick is not working right now.
I don't know.
Is it
Henderson? No.
All the way bottom row to the right, 32. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's Henderson.
This one
yeah.
that I just
that's
moved?
Henderson.
Okay.
Yes.
Good job. Good work, team. Okay. So we're putting Henderson in here. I guess then the next logical thing is his teammate Judkins right there with him in this tier.
Yes. I mean, Warren, Judkins, Burden, Egbuka.
Let's pace ourselves.
I bet you'll be able to find Tyler Warren, brother.
I'm working on Judkins right now. I believe this is Judkins.
That's Judkins, yeah.
Correct.
The hair, yeah.
He's got the cool hair.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, let's talk about these two right here, just because they are teammates and it's convenient, and most people have them like back to back. Do you think it will just be a combo of landing spot and draft capital, or let's assume draft capital is relatively equal? Do you guys prefer Henderson or one of them strongly to the other?
Henderson feels way more likely to be a league winner.
I completely agree. I think Henderson, especially like if we're, if one of these guys sneaks into the first round and in a good landing spot, I would be much more excited about it being Henderson than Judkins. I think Judkins is definitely interesting, but is more of kind of he's like the Hampton bet, but he's not as versatile in terms of the pass catching.
Let me give you a scenario. Let me give you a scenario and tell me how you would value these guys. Let's say we don't bank the perfect landing spot for TreVeyon Henderson. I'm going to throw out the Titans take him at the top of the second round. And we're just like, man, Pollard's their Spears. Like, this is a kind of weird. Like, what are we doing? And let's say Judkins goes to the Steelers. It's like clear bruiser back compliment to Jalen Warren, the new Najee or whatever. Like, how are you
second round or is he first round?
Let's say just for the use of it, let's say they're both early second round in that scenario.
Give me Henderson.
Yeah, give me Henderson.
Which almost seems like you're rooting for kind of a somewhat murky spot for Henderson to get the value on him, where the market will not give you value on the next Najee, the Najee role, essentially. Like, that will be priced efficiently, whereas people would be spooked about that Titans committee.
Henderson is someone that I think from a long-term perspective, we should be like even more excited about than from the short-term perspective, because he's like a little bit undersized. We want to see him be utilized in a receiving role. He's one of the better pass catching prospects, but we don't generally see guys come into the league and are like immediately just like stoning NFL edge rushers and stuff or blitzers. Like there's a learning curve, even if you're good at it in college. So I could see, and then, it could take him a little bit to consolidate an entire backfield, since he's not this big guy like a Hampton that you just kind of hand it off to, or Jeanty. You're just like, it's yours now, lead us. So Henderson, it's more of a ceiling play. Whereas Judkins is more of like a hit the ground.
That's how you win
play.
dynasty leagues anyways. You don't win dynasty leagues by chopping and changing a bunch of guys who score 12.7 points per game. You find ceiling guys.
Yeah.
Well,
but I like Henderson in best ball, but I think I like him even more in dynasty.
That makes sense to me too. Because I even in my just kind of wild hypothetical here, like already in the chat, Henderson would have too much competition on the Titans. Like, I'm telling you, that would exactly be the sentiment across the board.
I would be okay, and maybe this is how we split the difference of the previous conversation, but I would be okay having him in his own tier.
No, I think that is not real. Like,
real?
maybe you can mentally think of it that way, but like
mentally I would.
They're like Judkins, Kaleb Johnson.
That is how I like to think of things.
And TreVeyon Henderson are going to go within like 15 picks of each other, and it's going to be like, oh, who went to a good spot, who didn't?
Yeah. It's more that like I see no scenario in which I could take Judkins 102 I do see a scenario where I would be okay with Henderson 102.
Cowboys don't take a running
It's
back
just
in round
unlikely.
1, and they take Judkins in round 2.
I'm not taking Judkins 102. There will be someone else that I'll take.
Oh,
over Judkins.
someone will.
Someone will. Yeah.
Well, someone might, but people took. Remember when Quinshon Vaughn? Were you in that league? Quinshon Vaughn went 106 when the year he was drafted.
The fun
in a
thought
super flex
experiment is how far down the board, like an actual draft capital board, can you go before people would just chill on whatever rookie running back the Cowboys draft, right? Like it's like round 2, like, or round 1, just like fucking forget about it.
Round 2 is the same as round 1 to the slappy market for Cowboys running back.
Round 3 might be the same as round 1.
That's what I'm saying.
Honestly.
I did this thought experiment last year. If instead of trading for Trey Lance, the Cowboys had just stayed put and taken Braelon Allen, how high would we have taken him?
Totally. Well, dude, I mean, think about like especially if it's a guy that we at one point thought of as a potential round 1 running back. Like, let's say Kaleb Johnson fell to early round 3, Cowboys snap him up. He would be drafted extremely.
He's a top 50 pick in Best Ball Mania for sure.
Oh, for
in
sure.
That scenario.
For sure.
It's funny you say that because
and no different than if he was drafted in round 2. Like there would be no discount.
That's what I was gonna say. In Thor's mock draft, his most recent one, he did do Kaleb Johnson to the Cowboys in round 2, and I don't think there would be a difference in how the market handled that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Like if there was like a gap, like if you think about the difference of like the NFL says 3 to 4 other running backs came off the board between Johnson in round 2 to round 3, like that's
and 32 other players.
Yeah. Okay. I think Luther Burden was the next name that Davis tossed out here. Do we all agree he's in a part of this tier 3? Or is he part or not?
Pat probably doesn't, because Pat hasn't gotten his elbows dirty watching the film.
Oh,
which film? You watching the 2023? You just living in 2023 over there?
How about Dane Brugler's running back 3 in the class in the Beast, brother?
Who did he have? Skattebo?
Larison?
Kaleb Johnson.
Oh, Kaleb Johnson. Oh, that's right. Yeah. My bad.
So Luther Burden, I mean, if Luther Burden goes round 1, like let's say somewhere in the 20s or whatever, like he's definitely a tier 3 guy. I guess then the conversation is he a tier 3 guy if he slips to early second?
And so I agree with that framing. I think if he's a first round pick, then I think he's a tier 3 guy. But I just finished up a podcast with Nick Orisco, who's the fantasy law guy on Twitter, and he's like just really dialed into mocking the first round. He does not think Burden's going to go first round. He noted Lance Zierlein's first mock is kind of the canary in the coal mine on his draft capital, people realizing that maybe there was an issue there. And then there have been follow-up reports that like, yeah, there does look like maybe there's an issue with him. There's like basically wide receiver diva reports on him. Plus you have the 2024 season, not at all what you want. Plus you have the way that he generated production being like kind of gadgety and like a concerning level of gadget stuff. His range of outcomes is extremely wide. I do not think he's the type of player you want to write off and say is a bust. He could be a huge hit, but I don't think I want to. Like, I just would never take him over Henderson at this point. Like, Henderson would have to go to some crazy landing spot for me to take Burden over him.
I think that makes it seem like he should be in tier 4, where it sounds like almost no matter what like happens to say Henderson, you're going to be excited about his long-term dynasty value in a way that you can't say the same for Burden, is what I'm hearing.
That's how I feel.
Davis, it sounds like though you would have been willing to include him here.
Yeah, Burden round 2. I don't care, man. He's so. I think Burden is. I think he's DJ Moore basically, and I give a large pass to what the Missouri offense was in 2024. The red flags are not. They're more like pink flags for me, really. Because he's a good deep threat. Because he kind of does the two sick things for fantasy. He can do the gadget shit that kind of builds you in a nice little floor, but he can also win down the field. Yeah,
but isn't the sickest thing getting open?
Matter of perspective, Pat.
That's how I'm starting to feel. That the very sickest thing you can do is just get open all the time.
Let's maybe table the burden thing for a sec. Are there any other surefire tier 3 guys that you think should be included with Judkins and Henderson here?
Golden for sure.
Really?
Golden is someone I've really struggled to. Golden should be probably ranked over Burden, yeah.
In a different tier?
I mean, Golden might be the 12th overall pick, and Burden might be like mid-second.
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like the 12th overall stuff has kind of cooled out. It felt like that was like one random mock draft, and then that just became too much of a talking point.
It's cooled a little bit, but it hasn't cooled where people expect Golden to. Yeah, so there you go. But it's not cooled because people are like, I don't even know if he's a first rounder. Everyone expects there to be Golden and T-Mac off the board in round 1. Those are the two guys who look relatively locked in to round 1 at this point. So I don't know. I mean, I do struggle with Golden. I don't like him as much as I should because based on the draft capital. I don't know. He scares me.
To me, this conversation of these two here is so funny because it's almost like how you'd want to play these guys in best ball and dynasty is entirely different. Where it's just you just blindly take Golden because of his draft capital and that opportunity he's going to get, but you're way more nervous about him having a bust profile in dynasty. Whereas
that's how
Burden
I feel, yeah.
has a much stronger dynasty profile where I think you feel more confident about him just being a good player over a 3 to 5 year time span, but is way more susceptible to probably year 1 wonkiness based on his draft capital, based on his team fit.
Exactly. The guys that go ahead, Davis.
I think this must just be about my risk tolerance profile because I'm just like, yeah, dude, just load me up on these guys. Like, like I'm just like, if I can just snap these dudes off at the 110 and every rookie draft or whatever, I'm like, yeah, send it. I'm doing that every time. I'm not taking Shedeur. I'm not taking Jaxson Dart. I'm not taking Kaleb Johnson. I'm just like, yeah, dude, give me Luther Burden. Give me Golden.
Where are you at on the tight ends?
I mean, Warren is for sure tier 3, but I've been lower on Tyler Warren this whole time than everyone else.
Warren or Loveland?
See, that's the thing is I think Loveland is we're starting to hear the chatter like, oh, Loveland actually is a better run blocker. Loveland is a better, Nate
Tice had a whole breakdown about that. And Chris Sims says he's the best run blocker in the class. So the run blocking thing is kind of flipped.
But the thing
what is the dynasty market going to do if you get the chalk Warren to Colts, which everyone agrees sucks?
People are too woke now that they're like, can't project who the Colts quarterback is going to be 12 months from now. Just send it.
You're saying that I kind of disagree. If the market's going to overreact about Judkins versus Henderson, landing spot, projected volume, the market will overreact about his quarterback play in the short term.
Obviously depends on the league a little bit, but like, I don't know, man, this used to be like, I'm writing an article right now and I went back and looked and like, there was a time when McCole Hardman was the consensus 108. And like, we just are not doing that type of stuff anymore.
I do think that if it's Loveland, people will really care. And I don't know that they care so much it's Warren, because I feel that the fantasy community has a bigger distance between those two players than is backed up by the scouting community or the numbers.
I agree with that.
I don't understand why the perception of these guys is that like it's Warren and then like down here's Loveland. They're very close to me as bets. Loveland I have way more of in best ball. He goes way later. I think in the first mock draft we did, I took Loveland and it was like, but I think Loveland, as soon as Warren goes off, if you want a tight end, take Loveland, And by the way, Loveland is probably less likely to go to the Colts. So you could see them flipped after the draft. That would be, and to me, that would be a reasonable thing to do. Of like, hey, Loveland landed with the Chargers and Warren landed with the Colts. I'm just going to take the dude who's in the better situation with the better quarterback. And they're very comparable prospects. In fact, a lot of NFL evaluators are now saying they think Loveland has a higher ceiling. So I do think Loveland belongs in this tier 3. You could maybe just add all the wide receivers in this tier, but then do we talk about the quarterbacks being in this tier 2? Like, how big is this tier 3?
Well, that's what I'm starting to try to tease out. So right now, just as the placeholders, I have the 2 Ohio State running backs and Warren in tier 3, and then we have Burden, Golden, and Loveland in tier 4. To me, the conversation is like, of these 6 guys, which ones do you feel most confident on? It sounds like we're already there with Henderson. That almost no matter where they go.
Henderson to tier 2. I think I was wrong about that.
That's what I was getting at. Of either he needs to be in his own tier, or he needs to go up based on this combo because he
tier
feels
2.
like the odd man.
He's
out.
tier 2. Yeah,
he's tier 2.
And then are all of these guys part of tier 3 then?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I know ball.
But Ibuka is also in this tier.
Ibuka is in this tier. Yeah.
That makes sense. And it does seem like you said, the fact that these two could be flipped by perception based on landing spot, I think necessitates that they have to be in the same tier.
They have to be in the same tier. Yeah.
Same with the Golden and Burden, right? Because if their draft capital is really similar, the market's going to prefer Burden, I think. But if you get that gap and Golden is way ahead, then I think you go with Golden there, or at least that's how it will shake out in drafts.
Yeah, and I'm always trying to like look at as I do this stuff, and I'm writing these guys up now. I'm starting to write up the receivers now, and it's like I am trying to separate out these two things in my head at least a little bit, because you have this opinion of what I think these guys value. What is their value, and it's based on where they will be drafted and how good of prospects I think they are. And then you combine the draft capital in there and you're like, okay, this dude's like a late first round type guy, but I'm going to be wrong about where they're drafted in like some pretty important ways. Like Henderson could go way earlier than I thought he was. It turns out actually some team has Henderson as the running back too. He like leapfrogs Hampton. He goes to, Hampton doesn't go to the Broncos. He falls further. Henderson ends up going to the Chargers or something. They're in love with him, right? Something weird like that is going to happen. I don't know specifically what, but there's going to be some weird stuff. And so I am trying to be like, like with Burden, if Burden was like the 20th pick and Golden was the 21st pick, give me Burden,
Right.
I don't want to get too married to the projected draft capital because it is still pretty murky.
Do we feel good? So for our audio listeners here, we got Jeanty in his own tier. We're calling it the snap decline tier. In 102 potential, this is for Dynasty Superflex, tight end premium, shout out David Kitchen drafts, Cam Ward, Omarion Hampton, Tet McMillan, Travis Hunter, and we just bumped TreVeyon Henderson up into this 102 potential. And then I'm calling this third one capital versus talent, saying that there's a lot of ways these guys could flip-flop, but your mix here is going to be Judkins, the 2 tight ends, Loveland and Warren, and then the 3 wide receivers, Burden, Golden, Ibuka.
Judkins, by the way, does have like some pretty real red flags. I've seen about like for a bruising runner, he like broke fewer missed tackles per rush than like LaQuint Allen, who's like Samaj Pirine part 2, which is like kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's not great. He is more, he's like, his rushing profile is kind of in that Hampton zone where you're like, you do all this stuff really well, like on a per game basis, you can break tackles.
You better get 19 rushes a game though.
But you need 19 rushes per game, and you're not going to be as involved as a receiver as Hampton. So he is landing spot dependent for sure.
All right, Pat, I got either a gotcha moment or an addition to capital versus talent, because you took a player ahead of Ibuka and Golden when you were on the clock at 112 in our draft a couple of weeks ago that has not been added to the mix yet. Do you know
was it Shedeur?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask, where these quarterbacks go. I think Shedeur should be in this.
He's going to end up being the eat your vegetables. He and Dart are going to be the Daniel Jones eat your vegetables picks, where you're like, I guess. But it's not fun to take them.
It's not fun, but I think as long as he goes, let's say he goes like 21 to the Steelers, which is
I think that represents close to his floor.
That's what I think. Like,
yeah.
As long as that is the real floor, as long as there's not some additional like, oh my God, the NFL just does not like this guy floor, then he's worth a late first round pick. And that's kind of how I'm viewing all of these guys. Like these are your late first round picks. He's definitely in that conversation. And we could be wrong. Like he could end up, I don't think he goes to the Giants at 3 or anything like that at this point, but maybe the Browns trade back up for him and pair him with Travis Hunter. And all of a sudden we're kind of excited about him and Kevin Stefanski offense. There are some scenarios where we're like psyched about Shedeur, and he's going up quite a bit higher than this in, or at least ahead of like this group in Superflex.
And that's why I think he should be in this tier 3 capital versus talent, because that capital is ultimately going to determine it. Like I wrote this up for the newsletter this morning, so I was looking at it. His line on DK right now is 8.5, and it was juiced to the over, but that's still kind of playing him in that 9-10, in the middle range of what you just described, the 21, the floor, in the previous highs of like 2 or 3. I think if he's in that 8 to 12 range, maybe the trade up scenario, like you said, I think he's going at 1.9, 1.10 in drafts and then belongs in this tier.
One of the scenarios that I talked about with Nick is that the Rams would take him. Whether that's sitting tight at 26, probably not, but maybe they trade up a bit. If he falls, kind of into that 20s range, they could maybe get up and take him at like, maybe they'd have to trade up ahead of the Seahawks at 18 or something like that. But they could maybe get him if he falls past the Saints. And it sounds like the Saints probably are less likely than people think to take him at 9. So, from a dynasty perspective, him being the successor to Matthew Stafford in a Sean McVay offense is pretty exciting. You got to wait a little bit. The best ball bags are hurting if you have him, but yeah, we would be excited.
And similar, like Saints at 9, if they did that, you'd be feeling pretty good about, I think, his stock.
Saints, you're loving it. It's just like that is just that's going to be an asset that's burning a hole in your pocket. If Shedeur is sitting on the bench all year, you can be like, man, I really wish I would have done anything other than
I don't know.
Take this guy.
No, I mean, I tend to like those types of plays if you can get them cheap enough, because like you can turn around and like you take your Michael Penix, who we thought we were going to have to wait 2 years to get anything out of. He was a second round pick. You take him, you can massive profit on the table already. Your JJ McCarthy, we're already starting to get excited. He hasn't played it down. We're already getting kind of excited about him for best ball and stuff. I think you can turn a profit on these quarterbacks as long as there's actually a floor, like if it's if he's friggin' Malik Willis, and is like basically going to be a backup immediately, then there's no floor. But that's not who Shedeur is. Shedeur is kind of a lower ceiling NFL archetype, but one that we are confident can kind of play point guard at least. So he'll get a shot. He'll get a shot to be a starter, and that's worth a lot in Superflex.
So the only other player who was off the board before anyone that is still up on this, that's a really weird way to say it, that went ahead of Igbuka and Golden in our draft, who hasn't been selected yet, was Kaleb Johnson. Blair took him at 11. This feels like a tier break to me. There's stuff to like about Kaleb Johnson, but he feels like the start of tier 4, or does someone want to make the case he should be in tier 3?
I mean, I would like to make the case that I mean, straight up, I think he's just better than Judkins. I think he's like I think he comes in right away and is like, I have no like he can do all the things. He is fine at pass blocking. I think he's going to be fine in the receiving game. I don't think he's like nearly like Judkins is probably more dynamic in like the open field than him. But like the thing that all the teams are talking about in this, we need a big bodied guy. Damian Martinez. Yeah. And I think like he's the best version of that guy. He's the best version of the 225-pound guy who can run a 4.5 and break tackles and have a 52% success rate.
Yeah, those success rates sucked in college. So that's one of the concerns, is that he's maybe like a bit more boom bust. He's maybe more like a Kenneth Walker as far as like big backs go. He's like more of an explosion guy.
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of just spitballing here, but like his Iowa teams were so bad. It's kind of the Pacheco thing where like they were so disinterested in the forward pass. I feel like that his final season at Iowa, he had more yards from scrimmage than the team threw for.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I guess the pushback on the Kaleb, or including him in this stuff, is like the draft capital for him is definitely going to be meaningfully different. Like all of these guys we're talking about are either round 1 or at worst top of round 2. Like it would be pretty shocking if Kaleb Johnson went like earlier than middle of round 2, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
I think it's possible if you're like a zone run team and you want like an outside zone downhill runner. I could see a team being like, let's not mess around. Let's get this guy. I mean, I think Brugler's rank on him would show you that there is some real love for him. And you're competing with those other teams like that. Like, I guess I wouldn't be shocked if, I guess I don't, are the Bears going to be running that kind of system? But,
it's funny
it wouldn't shock me if the Bears.
We got Lamech in the chat saying Johnson is a zone style running back. All those zone style running teams already have backs besides the Bears. Landing spot seems murky and potential faller.
Yeah. So if the Bears were to grab him, he would be. But that's I guess maybe why I wouldn't have him in this tier is that it's like it kind of takes a landing spot, like specifically the Bears using one of their
spot.
Yeah, a perfect spot. Maybe that's what tier 4 is. It's like it's hoping for a perfect spot.
The guys that could be a top
Chiefs,
6 overall pick.
Chiefs at pick 64 or whatever, or 63.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Guys you can dream on kind of thing.
Yeah, dream on. And there will be a lot of personal preference. Like some years you'd like know who you're going to get at your pick. You're like, oh, I got the 2-4. I know exactly. Like this draft will not be like that. There will be a lot of personal flavor. I think that comes in.
So we're kicking off tier 4.
One other guy, because I actually think there's someone else we need to talk about before we fully
Loveland.
move on to tier 4. No, Loveland we got in tier 3.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I didn't remember that.
Jaxson Dart.
That's Ollie Gordon, by the way.
What?
That's Ollie Gordon.
What are you talking about?
That right there in the Dream On tier.
Dream On.
That's Ollie Gordon.
I thought you were saying Loveland was Ollie Gordon. Thank you.
That's actually derogatory. Dream On. Like, come on. It's not
happening. No. Hang on. I got to change this to not happening. No. Let me get my, let's see. This is him, right?
That's him. Yeah. That's good.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Jaxson Dart in this Dream On tier.
Yes.
I think
he's in capital versus talent. He's going to go first round.
Ooh. Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. If he's and to your point, if you get the Sanders slide and Dart like holds strong in the mid-20s or whatever, if those two are close, we've already heard the sentiment. Like Jacob mentioned it on ADP chasing. Like I'm taking Dart over Sanders in Dynasty. Like,
yeah,
people are way more excited about the Dart tools than they are Sanders.
And Dart, I've done the whole.
As the leader of the Dart Brigade, I frankly find this a bit ridiculous. But
whoa, okay.
What's ridiculous about it?
Shedeur's better, dude. Like Shedeur had to play in like the opposite of a real offense. Like Shedeur's, you know who Shedeur's offensive coordinator was? Do you know? This will be good. Karain, don't say it. Peter, just it's one of the funniest names you can imagine. Who do you think? Old NFL guy in his 70s. He's been around forever. Just what's
the question?
Shedeur's offensive coordinator
at CU.
He's supposed to be an offensive guru. He's literally one of the worst of all time.
I don't know.
Pat Shurmur was his offensive coordinator. Basically, the Colorado game plan was we're never going to run, and our offensive line's not going to be particularly good, and we're just going to let you run around and do stuff. And there's a lot of. I'm not saying Shedeur, if he hits, is going to be like at best like the 13th best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not like Shedeur is him QB1, but compare the two systems. go watch Jaxson Dart highlights. It's him just like hitting dudes who don't have anyone on the screen with them because Lane Kiffin is really good at his job. Like I was the Dart guy originally, but it's a bit too much.
Not your own take.
I love it. The thing with Dart, because I've done a whole spiel about how you know quarterbacks don't sit and stuff. The nice thing about maybe Shedeur and Dart from but I would say more so Dart, who I think probably needs to sit, is that he will go late enough in the first to where a team is going to be able to pull that off for at least the majority of the season. It'll be more like a Penix situation, I think. Like, for example, he could end up going to the Steelers and then they sign Aaron Rodgers and he doesn't really play this year. But that would be pretty good for him. Like being a first-round pick who's the successor, you're going to have to wait on it. His value might fall in the short term. Next year, if he's not the starter, if Rodgers does another year, his value will fall. People will lose patience. But eventually, with first-round capital, he will be a starter, and he's got tools, and people will see stuff to get excited. So he's just like kind of, you're banking a profit with Jaxson Dart unless he falls out of the first round. But I don't think he does.
I agree with. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So do you guys envision scenarios where like Sanders and Dart are just going back to back in rookie drafts, like a 1-9, 1-10?
Yeah,
111,
that almost
12,
feels like most likely to me, assuming they both go in the first round.
So then
that's how we have it ranked. I literally have Sanders first, but then Dart right behind him, one spot behind him.
So Davis, are you willing to include Dart with Sanders, or do you think there's still a break?
No, we can include it, but I do just want to push back on this whole thing a little bit. Like that, like we got Dan Orlovsky going on TV every day being like the Jets should just take him at 7, and I'm like, all right, let's just.
Well, I'm with you there. That's
yeah. We're doing a tiers exercise where we're being pretty level headed right now. I would say. Yeah. All right. As much as it hates me to bring him up here, not because I don't think he's valued.
I know because 2 lines.
The second line, it's just like, is there someone else?
I wish other guys joined him on the line.
Oh no, I got him on the line by zooming out.
Yes,
we're good.
Yes,
we're good. Easy fix. Okay, so this Dream On tier, this is going to be a longish tier, right? Because even looking at our dynasty draft, this is really where you start to get your choose your own preferred flavor at wide receiver, running back, tight end, flyer.
Yeah, but I do think that this tier for me is going to be at least somewhat tied to draft capital, where there's guys that I like, but I'm scared they might be day 3 picks. If Kaleb Johnson's in this tier, then it shouldn't include guys like that because Kaleb Johnson's going to be a day 2 pick. He might not be round 2 anymore.
I think Skattebo should be next to Kaleb Johnson.
I agree.
Then.
I agree.
Running back 12 in the beast.
Dude,
if you can't dream on Skattebo, then
no, exactly.
I don't even know why you play this game.
If you can't dream on Skattebo, then you're right.
What are you watching this for?
Right, exactly.
Great point. Find something else to do with your time.
Skattebo too big.
Come on,
too big for the take cast. I DM'd him. Nothing from Cam.
That's bullish.
No, unironic
in so many ways.
Unironic bullish, because you know who's coming on. Land Larison's coming on. So
yes,
I would unearmark your 4th round rookie running back clip for Land.
Thanks for coming on, Land. You're now undraftable.
Here we go. I am this is just production value on the fly. Final tier, Matic, kiss of death.
Oh my God.
All right, put Jalen Milroe in the kiss of death tier then too.
Dude, the best. So I had Thor on my After Dark show from Fantasy Life, and I asked him. Someone in the chat was asking about Land, and I passed it along, and he said he was dollar store Dylan Lauby, which is
let's go.
Sounds about right.
I was under the impression that I was dollar store.
All right, so we got Kaleb Johnson, Cam Skattebo. Who else do you guys should be in this tier? Are we going to start to introduce some like Jaden Higgins?
No, Bond.
Jaden Higgins should be in this tier.
Yeah, sure, but there's no more dream on guy than Isaiah Bond, who like never did anything.
Yeah, I guess. But he is going to go day 2.
Is that Higgins, Pat?
Yes.
I think it is Higgins. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Noel is the one with the braids.
Okay. So to me, like this Dream On tier, to me, this is like round 2.
Yeah, priority round 2 guys. Early
Yeah.
round 2 priorities, which I actually
Yes.
don't think Bond is.
That's what I was going to try to suss out there.
I think Bond's
don't know,
more like
man.
a late round 2.
Feels like the NFL, like we've gotten enough kind of fuss about
Round 2
Bond.
priority.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Because like some people still like Bond has still been a round 1 mock guy even after getting literally booed at the NFL scouting combine.
I think I've seen him more as like a round 3 guy, like in the 80s and stuff of big boards. Like
Sure.
I think I'll probably end up having
he's probably bad.
Yeah. I don't think he's in this tier. I think he's in the next
So
tier.
this tier might actually be smaller.
Well, there's 2 guys that we should add, I think. One is Milroe.
Milroe.
Yes.
Milroe getting invited to the draft is interesting. I don't think it means he's going round 1, but it can't mean he's dead to go round 1. There must be a team that, under the right circumstances, would be willing to consider it. Or why did they invite him?
They only invited 13 dudes, and he's one of them.
What would be your guys'
and he accepted.
Right. What would you if you're all these guys think the world of themselves. I'm sure they all think they're going higher, but if you're in your heart of hearts and you're like, I don't want to do the waiting in the green room thing. On the other hand, you get the invite. Then I don't know. I'm just like the psychology of it. I think you just have to say yes if you're a fringe guy who gets the invite.
Well, the other thing with Milroe that, from what I understand, I mean, it's like character and likability and like it's all very high. People really like Jalen Milroe, teammates, coaches, all of it, and so I just feel like you would. I don't know, like why would you do it to this guy? Like like this is a guy who people respect. He went to a big time program with a lot of NFL connections. So, he was at the program for a while. It's strange to me that there would be like no buzz within NFL circles that he's live to go round 1. If there isn't, then why did they invite him? It's just very strange.
Who was the other person that you thought should be in this tier, Pat?
Harold Fannin.
I'm glad you said that. Davis, you took Harold Fannin at 15 in our draft, ahead of Higgins, ahead of Skattebo, ahead of Milroe, ahead of Dart.
Davis, you did this.
Okay, I did do this. Let me try.
This show just needs to be 3 different versions of Davis from like 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago.
I wonder if I can easily wriggle my way out of this channel.
I'm sure you can. You made a living out of it.
I have a hard time differentiating in my brain between what I want to have happen and what is going to happen. And I feel so strongly that the NFL is telling us that Harold Fannin is not going to happen, but I really want it to happen, and I don't know what to do with that.
That's not my read with the NFL. I feel like the NFL is saying maybe this happens.
Maybe it does.
Like Harold Fannin to be a Bowling Green, duck-footed slot receiver playing tight end. That he is basically, I don't want to say universally, but on the majority, and it maybe you could even say vast majority of top 100s, you'd see him. Now, is he going to go round 2? No. Is he going to be any earlier than the tight end 5? No, and he might be the tight end 6. But like, who cares? He's going to get drafted.
Where he was at in the Beast.
Yeah, so he's going to get drafted specifically for the type of role that we value.
That's what I've been making the argument, is that if he does end up being a round 3 pick, it's like so bullish because
it's wheels up.
No team is drafting him thinking he's Tip Ryman.
100%. If he's a 5th round pick, I'm worried. It's like he becomes Brevin Jordan pretty easily. Yeah, there's so much Josh Oliver, like these dudes are like, oh, this guy's an interesting receiving guy. It's like, no, it's not happening. But with round 3 capital, that's enough where
Oliver fucked himself by getting too good at blocking once he got to the NFL.
That's true, actually. we just talked about Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond is ranked in a pretty similar spot on a lot of big boards and is in like an unproductive, undersized speed receiver. This dude is a massive slot receiver who has tight end eligibility and might end up going ahead of Bond in the draft.
All right.
I think we're like
criticism
criminally
revoked.
underexcited about him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know who agrees with me? Davis from a couple weeks ago.
This is my favorite thing to pull up our mock draft here, and I was like, see if I could get Pat on the Shedeur Sanders thing, but he stayed consistent.
Let's just be honest. I'm always playing to the crowd, and like I knew that the Harold Fannin in the mock was going to go over really well.
I mean,
That's
it was
true.
going to go.
That
It was
was
going to go
smart.
over well here again too, if you could pull it off. All right. Should we flesh out one more tier below this and above the Matic Kiss of Death tier?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Let me add a tier here. Shockingly, for as many of these tiers as I have seen on Twitter and over the years, I've never done one of these myself, so I'm figuring it. Shout out to whoever created this template because they saved me a lot of time.
You know what? Io Manor should probably be in the Dream On tier.
Is he gonna be? I feel like all of these guys have a shot at like some solid round 2 capital in a way he doesn't. I guess
that's how I
not
feel
Harold
too.
Fannin, but the tight end premium adjusts for that.
But we're kind of judging on a curve for tight end,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm happy to put him in this next one, but
I like Io Manor, but I don't think he belongs in this tier because of draft capital concerns. Like there's no chance that Higgins falls to round 4, but Io Manor absolutely could. And that would be bad. Maybe it wouldn't kill his value, but it would not be. You're not considering him over Kaleb Johnson.
yeah. And I mean, I'm guessing this would end up being like the longest tier because now you're just getting into super deep running back class. These other wide receivers here. I guess you can include the Mason Taylors and Arroyos potentially in this tier as well.
I think they might be a tier down, those guys.
They feel like Tip Ryman's to me.
All right. You think even if Mason Taylor gets round 2 capital?
He
almost like him better in best ball, where I'm just like...
He did run that gauntlet.
He did run the gauntlet well, yeah. Let's see. I think that the first guys I would mention are the running backs. I think this is where we get like our premium dart throw, like locked in second round rookie pick type guys. You're excited to just kind of rip off. Sampson, Tootin, Giddens, Harvey. Those guys would probably be the cream of the crop right now.
Man, I'm learning what so many of these guys look like today. This has been a valuable exercise for me because I normally don't know this until about week 6 of the NFL season. So I'm so far ahead of schedule.
James Tootin.
I found Tootin. I should have known the Virginia Tech polo was a pretty big giveaway.
Yeah, the polos are a nice inclusion.
Polos
the
are
suits
helpful.
are a little bit more difficult.
Davis, in the
who else you
purple
want?
with the hair there in the top.
Who do you want in here? We'll start adding them since we agree this is kind of a long tier.
My personal biases would have Ollie Gordon in this group.
Well, I am familiar with what he looks like.
He's your top left corner.
So Ollie Gordon's interesting in that his draft, at least his ADP on Underdog is like not in a same. I guess this is the thing. The range of how these guys are being valued now, at least in the redraft market, is all over the place, right? Like the gap from Tootin to Ollie Gordon is pretty massive.
No one wants to be brave enough to suggest that Ollie Gordon's sophomore season might be more indicative of who he is than his junior season.
Well, Davis, you weren't brave enough to select him over Tootin, Giddens, Sampson, or Devin Neal in our rookie draft.
Yeah, Giddens and Neal go in this group for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm lower on Gordon.
I think Gordon might deserve to be in the Matic Kiss of Death tier.
The thing is I don't even actually really like him. The dude went to Oklahoma State. I hate him. So that should be me being unbiased.
I can't keep up.
Where do you
I'm
think he
getting
gets drafted?
take whiplash.
I think he, Crane, this is the comp to make. The dude is Braelon Allen, where his final season was his least efficient season, but he's got the body, he's got the tape if you look for the tape. And
I don't want to have to do a treasure hunt for the right tape. Just be good.
Davis is like gatekeeping this too, and he saw one Twitter highlight video. Was like, maybe if you watch the tape.
No, this for Ollie Gordon, this is not true. Ollie Gordon's 2023. Dude. I mean, we've literally done this with Oklahoma State running backs.
I know.
Chuba Hubbard was like the best running back in college football. Then he sucked. Then he was a good NFL player.
Where was he in the beast? I'm still perusing.
Low, like RB 16 or something, like right next to Damian Martinez. But RB 16 in this class is not that bad.
He has
like,
an RB 14 ahead of Neal, actually.
Yeah.
Ooh, he has Jarquez Hunter 11.
Yeah.
All right, so I just added Tootin, Giddens, Neal, and Sampson in here. Pat, are there any other wide receivers that should be up here with Iominor?
Trey Harris, probably. Jalen Knoll. I think those two. And Bond. Bond should probably be in this tier.
So this is choose your own adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. Other guys, I would say Damian Martinez. You could have Ollie Gordon in this tier. I thought you could.
Yeah.
You could. We won't, but you could.
Good.
I like it. I like it too much having Ollie Gordon and Lan Larison here together as two guys that Davis both loves and hates at the same time.
No hate to Lan. Lan, good guy. Good guy.
Please tell Lan. Will you do me one favor and when you record, tell him about Dylan Laube stat line after he came on the podcast.
I'm gonna have to tell him the whole sordid history. I'm gonna have to tell him about Pat. I'm gonna have to tell him about Brian Hill. I'm gonna have to tell him every running back who came on my show.
Oh my God.
Basically immediately went to zero.
Hey, I mean, Laird played out his full rookie contract.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And that's
Most
how
guys-
old
most
I
guys
feel.
do not
The
do
Laird
that.
bit was when he was a rookie.
Wow.
And we're still here.
Laird is 28 and married now.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
And we're doing the same old bullshit.
Peter, when you and I went to New York, I was 25 years old.
Wow.
I was a child.
Yeah.
That
there's no way
makes
I can
me
give you a
feel
Biggie
really
Pack
old.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Is what it is.
You were a child who was not willing to ride the subway.
No, fuck no. And I stand by it. I 100% stand by it.
The only man who will brag about his deadlift while simultaneously saying he's too scared to ride the subway.
He didn't have his parent or guardian with him.
There are more people on a New York subway than in the town I grew up in, dude.
That would be like, yeah. Okay, that's easy for me to get my head around then.
That's overwhelming, dude. Request to put Rashard Smith in the Mad at Kiss of Death group. Wait, who's this Texas? Oh, Gunnar Helm. Yeah,
I just had to put Gunnar Helm in the Kiss of
valid.
Death.
I literally killed him. I burst his ankle. I'd like to put Rashard Smith in that group as well.
Okay.
Crane might fight back against that.
My only pushback would be maybe he belongs in Choose Your Own Adventure.
He is
Rashard
just
Smith?
like locked into being a 5th round pick, I feel like.
I like Rashard Smith.
He's this year's Tyrone Tracy, right? Like that's
Yeah.
that's what we're
Yeah.
hoping for. I think that warrants Choose Your Own Adventure territory.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably need to raise him up a little bit.
There might have been a couple other guys you guys mentioned here. These are the options. Any of these faces deserve to be in this super long?
Can we
I'm
put
looking-
Tez Johnson in the weighs less than a child tier.
Yeah.
Can we
Let me
How about short king?
He's
He's
not even
that
short, dude. He's like
God damn
5'10".
it. You're right. He's not short.
which one is Tez? I mean, I should be able to tell.
Green, the skinny guy in the green polo, the guy who looks
How about
like
would be bullish if shorter?
straight up though? It'd be like Restrepo would be bullish if he was faster. Tez, tough.
It's tough.
What are you doing
you were
with Kyle?
5'6",
What are you
we'd be-
doing with Kyle Williams?
I'm on board. He's not in
feels-
this tier, but
no,
he's
I was gonna say he feels like someone that you're gonna draft with the 212 in your rookie draft, and just like you're gonna be like, oh, I'm never gonna start him.
I think he's more like 312. Like at least I think that's what you'll have to pay. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not
Maybe
if
it'd be like
the-
mid third.
Not if the Chris Sims rankings are right.
Yeah, I think actually Harmon just had a profile on him today. Let me see.
I believe we have now slotted at least all 24 players from our mock draft
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Tyler Shuck.
Oh yeah,
bullish
do we
if
want to
he-
put him in here?
bullish if he was not literally older than Joe Burrow? Tyler Shuck is so old that he was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon.
Is this Shock here?
No, that's Will Howard.
Okay. Which one is Tyler Shuck?
He might not even be on this.
I was gonna say
Bullish if could not rent a car. That would be.
I don't think Tyler Shuck is in there. I believe.
Okay. Yeah, he didn't pass my
Bullish
inspect
if
element.
this site bothered to include
Bullish
him.
if he was in the tier maker. Man.
Oh no.
And some people are still riding or dying for Tyler Shuck. They're still just like I've seen like this is such a fake sharp film thing that guys will do. They'll put you in a non-falsifiable position where they're like, you put on the tape and you show me what Tyler Shuck would do that shows that he doesn't belong. And it's like, dude, he had 3,000 yards in 8 seasons in college. How about can we just start from there? Why do I expect him to do better than that against professionals?
I just have put on the tape and then just write like this man is 26 years old.
This man is
This guy right here.
So this could actually be actionable for people. Davis, you said you had a draft coming up. We can now say the kind of the spots you would want to trade up into or trade back down to as kind of the sweet spot. So obviously 101 is nice. And then 4, 5, 6. So like the 106 looks like a sweet spot to guarantee you one of these 5 here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, round 1, round 2. So the 2-2, pick 14.
You want to know a sharp move? Trading
Yeah.
back from like the 110 to the 2.1. There's just like a psychological thing there. And there's like as I think we demonstrated, there's like no difference.
Yes. And my guess is like just randomly how we put these guys in, Shedeur and Dart, is probably how this is going to play out, right? Because you're going to have one of these dream on round 2 priorities, a couple of these guys, like the market is going to want to take the starter that now has like a clean runway that got drafted with early round 2 and be like, yeah, Sanders, Dart, someone else can have that value. Probably not going to be a fantasy impact right away. So like, I do think if you're trading back to that 2-1, 2-2, you probably are looking at Sanders or Dart.
Yeah. And I also think the way these things go when you're like trying to position yourself in the draft, it's never like efficient off of the way you would have it ranked. So you can take some risk on and trade back a couple picks past, because there's usually some fallers, and the fallers start to happen more in the late first through the early to mid second. Like that's where like 203 you might land a guy that you had ranked 10th. It can be like that. So yeah, I think the middle of the second could be interesting to try to catch fallers. I also do think that the kind of early third range is going to be pretty good, because you're going to scoop guys who you feel like maybe should have gone off like 6 or 7 picks ago.
Right. Yeah, because then this Dream On round 2 priority tier is like 2.3 to 2.7, and then the Choose Your Own Adventure is like 2.08 to mid 3s.
I've missed ways less than a child. I just saw that.
That was Davis's suggestion.
That's good.
Yeah.
There are 13-year-olds who are not obese who straight up weigh more than Tez Johnson. Derrick Henry weighed more than Tez Johnson when he was 9. Easy.
That might be true.
Tez Johnson was so slow that it caused him to like question the nature of time itself as like a concept. He was like doing like ayahuasca tweets about like what does being fast even mean, because he was so bummed out about how the internet responded to his 40.
I would really like to see a picture of Derrick Henry at like 18 or 17 or 16 or some age where he should not have looked the way he did, and a picture of Tez Johnson at that same age. That would be an interesting.
How about the one of
comparison
Andy Reid at the
the kick punt,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that would be good.
What is that? I don't know that I know this one.
You haven't seen that photo?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I gotta pull it up.
I mean, Pat, this is a classic. What is it?
He had to have been like 13.
Oh, I don't think I've seen 13-year-old Reid.
Oh, there's a. it's here you go. It's great.
Yeah.
It
Also,
really
it's on the broadcast all the time, so I don't know how you've never seen this.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Oh my god.
he's number 22 behind.
Oh my god, dude.
You've never seen this, Pat? It is on the
I don't think
broadcast
so.
all the time.
Oh my god. That's crazy. I mean, I'm a red zone guy primarily. Unless this is what they're not cutting to on red zone.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Man, I was trying to get a bigger version here, but yeah, it is a special footed photo here. Look at this. This kid, imagine this kid
That's
getting ready for his
crazy. That's crazy. What are we doing? What are you doing? That's a man. That's like a 35-year-old
That's like
man.
a full-on Tom Selleck mustache.
What's
so
happening?
let's see. Andy Reid, I got to do some. I think they said he was 13 here, but I want to confirm. So this was from 71. And yeah, 13-year-old Andy Reid.
That's nuts.
He like literally is the exact same height as he is today, and he's added like another
It's
75
unfair on
pounds.
so many levels. Good God. Look at this kid behind me. That kid looks 7 years old.
It's so
That's Tez
unfortunate.
Johnson. That's Tez Johnson, dude. That little known fact. That's Tez Johnson.
It's like Andy Reid is like 2 times as big as this kid's dad, and he's behind him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was actually a helpful exercise. I will say, like, thinking it through, and I mean, I guess this makes sense, but the 101, like in dynasty drafts, is nutted
We're
like a
seeing
Stewie.
the 13-year-old. Yes, right?
Yes,
That was the
that's the whole
13-year-old.
point. 13-year-old, 1971. 101 is nuts because you get Jeanty, you get the 201, which is the end of that tier we talked about, where you might be able to get the quarterback, and then 301, you're in the sweet spot of that choose your own adventure tier.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Oh man, that's a great. The thing about this year, you know, one of the reasons that Jeanty's in that snap decline tier, I think, is that when you look at like the way I tier these guys out, I would say that like Jeanty's in like a no-brainer 101, like you don't have to think about it tier, like kind of an instant top 12 startup asset. Like that's what you're getting, at least top 15 anyway, but I have him ranked 12. And then the next guy is like a solid middle of the first round. You know, whoever you decide. Hunter would be higher than that if he was definitely a receiver, but I think baking in that risk, everyone after that is like, there's no guys that I would slot in as like solid early first round rookie picks. It goes from like the clearest cut 101 type of dude you can find to, especially for non-quarterback, to like, yeah, totally happy to, like, psyched to take this guy at the 106. But there's no, just like no middle. And that's why I think if you're trying to trade from 102, it's like you're starting with the 105 trying to get to the
Yeah.
101 if you're trying to go 102 to 101.
102 feels really gross after doing this exercise.
It's a bad year to have the 102.
Trying to trade the 102 as much as I can. Trying to ship it out. Trying to get bets.
I guess you could ride it out and hope Hunter just.
There
like
are
a full-time
also
wide
some
receiver.
like good guys who are pretty gettable right now. Like both the Jets guys, Brees and Garrett Wilson, are like super gettable. Like trying to think of like other young guys. T might be like kind of gettable right now. Like there are some guys who are more gettable than their projected points would be, which is, kind of interesting. You know who you could get right now? You could get the 102 and something else. You get Kyler Murray. People are just like, they're done with that. They're like, oh, Kyler, that guy stinks. So
I would take
have both.
I would take Kyler over the 102.
Yeah.
Because I've been kind of the Hampton bull on this podcast, but I guess, and I'm Hampton bull in a lot of setups because I like him a lot in best ball. I think he's underpriced because he's going to get drafted in the first round, potentially to a really good landing spot. And he's going to be a lot more expensive after the draft. But I'm not that bullish on him from the prospect profile perspective. So if you could trade out of the 102 for like a Kyler Murray, like hell yeah. If you could get like, what would you have to add to the 102 to get Drake May? Is that possible?
Depends if I'm dealing with you or a normal person.
Can I get Drake? Can I get more Drake May in my life?
You could. I was actually just writing that up. I was like, so I'm writing up like a strategy guide for like what to do. And my advice, literally, with the 102 to the 105 is trade it. And I was like going through some names, and I was like, you know what? You could for sure get Drake May. You should
do that. You should do that immediately. Getting the 102, Drake May's set up better. We should be more confident that he's good, and he's set up to actually produce some this year. Why wouldn't you? I would instantly trade the 102 for Drake May. How much would it cost to get Kaleb?
Kaleb, the drafter is probably like
they're just doubling down.
They're just doubling down. Yeah.
Knicks.
Oh, I mean, Knicks. The guy who took Knicks in your draft is like thinks he found a 20 in his old jacket pocket.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, take him, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could get Knicks plus. I would take that.
You know who you could get? You know who you could get if you had the 106? You could get JJ McCarthy and a wide receiver. You could get JJ McCarthy and Brandon Ayuk right now for the 106.
The 106, I'm almost less inclined to trade because I'm getting the end of the tier. The 102, could I get Herbert for the 102?
Herbert people are their own. I've never been one of these people, but they're kind of their own.
People are their own thing.
You know the Herbert people.
I know what you mean.
We all know the Herbert people, and they're a very select group of individuals. All right. Not about
Davis,
evidence or points.
Where's this Dynasty article coming out? I don't think we've been blessed with Davis Maddock written word in a long time.
Patreon.com/.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were, you had hit up DLF.com and said I got
I'll be doing freelance articles on fantasypigskin.com. Rents due. All right. You guys, okay, I gotta talk about this. Pepper Tony said Justin Herbert almost won the Super Bowl. Show some respect. I had the most Liam fucking moment yesterday of all time. We were talking about something, and he goes, Keon Coleman almost won the Super Bowl, referring to the fact that the Bills almost quote unquote won the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
And it took.
What is he talking about? What's his case?
He was like, oh, well, if the Bills had beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, they would have easily won the conference championship and then easily won the Super Bowl.
That's diabolical.
No, It was the most. It was so good, and it took me a second to realize what he was saying. Like I thought he was talking about someone else, and then I was like, "No, you did just mean in your head canon the Bills were basically a Dalton Kincaid 4th down catch away from winning the Super Bowl, and it's that easy." It was the way Liam sprinkled it in. It was fantastic.
Man,
So good.
Pat, what's going on at Leg Up?
A couple articles out this week. Did the final part of my rookie running backs, and then Michael Dubner had an article on predicting closing line value at the running back position and how he's playing that in his remaining best ball drafts. Gonna have my wide receiver article or articles out next week to finish up the rookie stuff. And then check out Dynasty rankings, best ball rankings, all over at legendaryupside.com.
Beautiful. Davis, what else you got going?
Streaming, big board's about full. I've got 20 left. So got to get done there. Crane, you wanna hop on tomorrow morning again?
I do.
Okay, there we go.
Beautiful.
Someone tagged me. Hang on. We might have a photo. Okay. Yeah.
You gonna share?
Frankie Dash sent this to me too. It's insanely good.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know how do I share this though?
Just
There are
open
photos
it.
in
Open
Discord.
it. Open it in preview. Here, do you want me to do it?
Yeah. No.
That'd be really funny if he sent you guys different content.
It would.
Okay,
Be,
I
it
got
would
it.
be. But I meant to send this to Pat earlier. It's very good though. He must have made this with AI. Beautiful.
No. Here's.
Someone's coping and seething about it. Oh, this is different.
So there's Henry, and here's Tez Johnson.
He's so
Again,
tall.
This is Derrick Henry
In high school.
In high school.
And at the same age in their respective lives, here's Tez Johnson.
Beautiful. Now are you going to share, Davis? What do you got?
Yes, hold on. Let me I will add a slide and or PDF. Oh, it's not letting me upload a JPEG, so I'm not going to share. Next week on Chip Chase.
Okay.
People in our Discord are confused about which one is which.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Also, apparently I'm in a tiers mood because I just realized my article for Fantasy Life this week, I ranked by tiers all of the landing spots in the league for running backs, which was kind of an illustrative exercise for one, how good this running back class is, but two, like how many good spots there are available up for grabs. So if you want to keep an eye out for that. Also, I love that Frankie says I didn't send that to Pat.
He told me in the DM he said for you and Corain, so I assumed he sent it to you too.
All right. We will be back next week. We have a guest booked. I would love to get a rain check with Danny. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that off schedule wise. Maybe we can get him on our draft stream if he's not busy. But we're going to have Dwayne McFarland from Fantasy Life next week. Obviously, as his supermodel up at Fantasy Life, has been in the weeds with the prospecting there. So we will talk through this class again with him next week. Otherwise, the fellows will be back for ADP chasing on Tuesday. Really strong show this Tuesday. If you guys missed it, with Jacob broadcasting from Portugal. Otherwise, become a YouTube member. Join us in the Discord. Great group of ship chasers in there talking ball at all hours of the day. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys next time on Ship Chasing.